Sometimes when I sit back and really let it register,
What's good, squad?
I did everything I said I would and said it first. I mean, the world's in denial, but they all know what I'm headed for.
How we doing? 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 How we doing?
Meanwhile, I'm over here just trying to pen a verse, cause I'm done being extra with the extroverts. The label used to wonder how I'm supposed to stay next to vert. Probably never thought that I would get these legs to work. I work hard, but hard shit don't need no extra work.
D-backs or Reds, man. I don't know, dude. I'm staying far away from these early games. I'll tell you that much. I'm not going anywhere near it. I'm not going anywhere near it, my man. Can't do it. I can't bet that game. I honestly, if I had to take a bet in that game, I'd probably take the under. Bill, I'd probably go under.
I know my grandpa would have a heart attack if I pulled $100,000 out. So I'm not gonna pull $100,000 out. I'm hip hop, do you fully understand? Fully automatic with the jam.
Lean D-backs? I don't know, man. I don't know about that one, bro. Gotta know if you should cash out. Dude, it's a coin flip game. Like, I could see Davies or Maley dealing. They're very inconsistent. I have no feel on this side. I lean under in that game. I think both pitchers pitch better than we expect, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'd be nervous about the Nats pick too, my man. I'd be pretty nervous too. Super excited for today. Big day. Yeah, we got some intro music going, Lauren. Yeah, we're winning coins today. We're getting crap coins today, gents and ladies. Cardinals getting swept. Oof. I really wanted to back Shane McClanahan today, but I can't because for the reason you just stated. I don't know if I can back them to sweep with how inconsistent their bats are. They just scored 11 runs. Even Javon was like, I don't even know if I'm taking that. Yeah, I know Strass had a no going. Let's give it up for Strasburg. He's back. We'll talk about him later. Super excited that he's back. It's good for the program. On today's show, guys. On today's show, we have a big day. We're talking the Live Tour. We got my guy Chase Howe coming on here to talk some golf, see what's going on with this rival PGA Tour. They poached a bunch of guys, a bunch of big names. They poached my favorite golfer of all time, who's had, a really rough year, my man Phil. And I'm excited to hear Chase's take on Phil Mickelson because I know he's a Phil hater, which is okay. I told him, I said, if you want to come on and talk trash about Phil, now is the time. Because, I mean, he kind of deserves it. But I guess good for him that everyone else followed suit and also took the bag. So very curious to bring Chase on here in about a minute. And then we're going to have Javon on talking MLB, talking betting strategy. I'm super excited for today's show. We're getting after it today. Bad day on the MLB bets yesterday. The KBO play saved us overnight. Expect better plays today. Had a bunch of winning days in a row. Yesterday, a bad day. It happens. Can't win every day. On to today. Got a lot of bets today I like. We'll go into detail later. But I'm going to bring my guy Chase up here, and we're going to talk about Live Tour. I'm really fucking stoked. Let's get him in here. Chase.
What's going on?
How we doing, my man? I can see you. I can hear you this time. You're not moving around. You're not caddying today. So thanks for hopping on, my man. Super excited to pick your brain.
Much better than my debut on this show. That was an absolute mess. But it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I've been wanting to be on your show. I know how great of a job you do, and I'm excited to talk some golf.
I appreciate it, Chase. Are you off for the weekend on the Corn Ferry? What's going on with that? I know you don't caddy every weekend, right?
Yeah, off for the week. I'll probably head out to Wichita. Okay. It's an easy drive from here in Colorado, which is next week. But off for the week, hanging, caddying a little bit at the club, writing up at Action Network, and placing some bets.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to gas you up a little bit. If you guys don't know Chase, he's definitely worth a follow. He does some writing for Action Network, golf. I'm pretty sure you do some college football stuff and some other sports as well.
I write about
also
pretty much
on the Corn Ferry. You write
Yeah,
about
I write
everything.
about pretty much everything. I just don't make picks on pretty much everything.
Right, which is probably smart. But you're a Swiss Army knife. You write about everything. You follow every sport, which I think is pretty dope. And you caddy on the Corn Ferry Tour, which I also want to get to and talk about how the Live Tour affects the Corn Ferry. I'm very excited to pick your brain on that down the line. But before we really dig in, I think a lot of people are very, very confused about what's going on in golf right now with this new tour that's rivaling the PGA. Can you give us a breakdown kind of what the Live Tour is, what they're about, how it works for someone who, may not be, as involved in golf and is very confused as to what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important to start like Greg Norman is the CEO of this golf league. Anybody that's followed a little bit of golf over the years probably should know the name Greg Norman. He's won a major, but he's more known for the way that he's lost a lot of majors. He's an older guy, probably in his like 60s or so by now. But he's the CEO of this league, and he's kind of always had an issue with the PGA Tour. Like even during his peak playing days, him and the PGA Tour would go at it. He spent a lot of time on the European Tour. He's Australian, obviously played a lot in Australia as well. So he's always been trying to kind of do something against the tour or create a competitive league. Obviously, that's really, really difficult to do. Just because of how much money is in the PGA Tour, obviously having all the stars, and everybody wants to watch the stars. But there's one group of people in this world that has the money to be able to back a new league, and that's the Saudis with their oil and gas money. And so they were willing to invest and pay a bunch of money, pay these players a bunch of money, pay a bunch of money for the tournaments that they're hosting, the broadcasts. I think they said it's something in like the 800 million range they kind of gave them to start this league. And so obviously you have guys like Phil Mickelson that took in the six, or what is it, I don't even know, 9 figures, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then
I think 40 millish, something like that.
Okay. And then Dustin Johnson was in the 125 mil.
Yeah.
He's obviously the highest paid one there. It sounds like Bryson DeChambeau, who's not playing this week, but will next week, is getting around $100 million as well. Yeah. So obviously they've just been able to pay these guys a bunch of money to come play in their league. And a lot of them don't really want to admit that they're doing it for the money. I think Dustin Johnson has been a little bit open about that, hey, I got 125 million, I'm going to go play. But someone like Phil, he's been a little bit more secretive about, he's like, oh, I want to do this to try to grow the game of golf. They like to use that a lot as kind of their bullshit explanatory reason, but it's really all for the money, and it's kind of cool. I mean, I've been watching all morning, and I was kind of having fun watching the broadcast. There's no commercials. It seems like they're doing a great job with it. So I'm going to have fun betting this league. It also has a team format, which is the way that I decided to bet it this week, just because I wanted to have a little bit of fun. I picked a team, and I'm back in the Torque, which they're not off to a great start. But it's kind of fun that you can kind of do a different way of betting in golf.
So you mentioned the team thing. How does that work? Are there seeds? Are the guys just picking their buddies? How does that work? How isn't it a 3-day instead of a 4-day tournament? Go into like how this is different from the PGA.
That's correct. Yep. So it's a 54-hole tournament, which means 3 days, 3 days of 18. For the team side of things, there's 48 players in the field. So there are 12 teams of 4. They did a snake draft. There are 12 captains that all drafted their own teams. Obviously, the 12 players are like the highest ranked players in the world. You got like Dustin Johnson as a captain, Sergio Garcia, right. Ian Poulter, right. Like all the names that you know are pretty much the captains, and all the names that you don't know are the guys that they drafted. So now we have 12 teams of 4, and I did some research on my teams and ended up picking one.
Awesome. And yeah, crazy stat. So they paid Dustin Johnson $1 million more than Tiger Woods has ever made in his entire career off of golf. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or not. I'm assuming it probably wasn't. That'd be a pretty good sell if they were in a meeting or on a call with Dustin Johnson trying to get him over there, saying they're going to outpay you, how much the greatest golfer of all time made in his entire career to come over and play, which is absolutely absurd.
And Greg,
I guess
Greg Norman,
when he talks.
Greg Norman admitted that they offered Tiger high 9 figures, which has got to be what,
Yeah,
700
almost
million plus?
almost $1 billion, almost $1 billion, and he said no. Got to respect it. I have always been, my mindset has always been back the players, not the teams, because sports is a business, right? If you have a down year, they're going to get ready and find someone else to replace you in all these American sports, right? But this kind of adds a weird twist where, the people funding and backing this league might not be the greatest people, right? And I don't really want to go into too much detail about that, but there's definitely some controversy in these guys taking the bag from, the Saudi Arabian people who, may not have the greatest, standards of living or outlook on the world right now. Do you think, if you were in this position, would you take the bag? Like, how do you even decline hundreds of millions of dollars? Like, would you be putting your morals first? Would you be taking the bag like some of these guys do? I feel like it was kind of funny. Like some of the guys who took the money from the Live Tour are guys that we fully expected to happen, right? The Phils, the Brysons, the Patrick Reeds, right? The guys who, have had some controversy in the past and maybe might not be the best guys. So what would you do in this situation? And what is kind of your outlook on the whole thing?
Right. I thought it was funny how Bryson and Patrick announced within hours of each other. And obviously those are like the two most hated guys on the PGA Tour, both by the fans and the players. So yeah, I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. It might be more of a surprise that they're not playing this week. I think you throw Sergio Garcia in that mix as well.
Yep.
He's kind of a hated player that
remember his comments in his last tournament. He said, "I cannot wait to be off of this tour."
Yeah,
it's like, buddy, you've been irrelevant for a decade. You haven't done anything. So, I mean, he did win, I think he won the Masters, right?
But, yeah, but he didn't do anything after that.
Out of nowhere. The dude's been, on the downside of his career for the last decade. Not rooting against him, but I feel like the people who are going, like I'm hearing that Matt Wolff was just offered and we might see him going over there, which would make perfect sense, right? It's like they're picking the stragglers almost. The people who either have had beef with the PGA Tour in the past or maybe don't have the best track record or maybe at the end of their career. A lot of like European guys are going over there. So they definitely pick their spots. And I wouldn't be surprised to see more guys, going over there.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to reputation. I think some of these guys that don't really want to burn their reputation, like a Justin Thomas or a Rory McIlroy, that might have a little bit higher of standards. I think that's why they're not going, or we might see them playing in this as well. But guys like Bryson, Patrick Reed, even Phil at this point, they don't really have a reputation to lose. So it can't get much worse for them, which is why I think they're more willing to do it. I think it depends on my situation if I was going to think about going. I think if you're one of the top players and you're on the downswing of your career, like Lee Westwood, Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia, where you're not making much money on the PGA Tour anymore and you can go make guaranteed money playing live, I think it makes a ton of sense to go do that. Now, if you're in kind of the prime of your career, we got Taylor Gooch. I don't know how many people know about him, but he's been very successful on the PGA Tour this past like 6 months. He's on the younger side, obviously has a sick name, the Gooch name. But he's only in like his late 20s. He has everything to look up to. And I think someone like that might be better off staying on the PGA Tour because you can end up building your brand a little bit better. But if you're older, I think it makes sense. Some of these younger guys, I think if you're just starting your professional career, we have a couple like amateurs that just turned pro in this event. James Pyatt and David Puig, I believe is how you pronounce it, from Arizona State. They both just got done with their college golf careers. It actually makes a lot of sense to go do this right away because it's really hard to get started in professional golf. You got to put so much money up front to try to get into these events with qualifiers and all the travel and all that different type of stuff. So it's better to kind of take the guaranteed money. So it just depends on your situation. And I think I would be willing to play in this depending on my situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to turn down hundreds of millions of dollars. I know for a fact that if I took the bag, I would definitely come out right up front and say, hey, I'm doing this for the money. I know this might not be, the greatest, moral thing to do. I guess that's the right word. But just be open and honest. Like I was very, very, very disappointed with how this whole Phil Mickelson thing has played out the guy's had a heck of a year, man. He went from winning a major tournament to all of this. He's had a rough year. He didn't look too great in the the whatever that was, the media day they had yesterday. People are making fun of the pictures of him. He looked like he was, hasn't shaved in weeks and looked a little off. I'm rooting for him. I hope he turns it around. If anyone can turn their reputation back around and get back on track, it's that guy. It sucks to see, these guys now getting banned on the PGA Tour. What does that mean for the major tournaments? Are these guys still able to play in all 4 majors? How does that play out? Because if I can't see Phil playing some of these majors, I'm going to be pretty bummed.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think it's something that we're not going to really know the answer to, maybe not even this year. We have the U.S. Open next week in Boston, and the USGA has already come out and said, hey, the guys that we've sent invites to, they're welcome to come play. We're not going to rescind their invite for next week. But in the future, I think it could be a lot different. So something that you have to understand is the PGA Tour is separate from all the majors. They don't run a single major. All the majors are run by different entities. The Masters
do they not run one of them or no?
No, they don't run. The Masters is run by Augusta National. U.S. Open's run by USGA. PGA Championships run by PGA of America, which is more like the head golf professional type of body. And then you have obviously the British Open run by the RNA, the British body over there. So the PGA Tour actually can't ban any of these guys from the majors. They want to work closely with the other governing bodies, but they can't actually do anything about it unless those entities decide to ban them.
Okay. And what does this mean for the Korn Ferry? Are you going to see a lot of these younger guys, like you just talked about, going directly to Live Tour now that they're getting paid significantly more, obviously? Is that tough for you guys? How is that going to play out?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, the Korn Ferry, there's so many guys that want to play out there that they'll never have an issue of like talent just because the margins are so like slim between a guy that doesn't have any Korn Ferry Tour status and a guy that is on the Korn Ferry Tour. So they're never going to have problems of getting guys. But I do think guys will be more interested in going to play over there, especially the Asian Tour. So Live Golf is working with the Asian Tour. I'm not exactly sure what the exact partnership is between the two, but basically if you're successful on the Asian Tour, you'll get to play in Live Golf, and they already have quite a few Asian Tour guys playing this week. And I think you might see more guys want to go do the Asian Tour because it's going to be a lot easier to get on Live than going through the Korn Ferry Tour and trying to get on the PGA Tour, which I think in general is just great for golf. I think expanding these tours and obviously getting them more talent in a place like Asia, I think is awesome. So that's actually a really good thing. And I think more guys will have more opportunities to try to make money in professional golf.
Okay. Well, that's a win. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Do you think this is good for the sport? Because a lot of people are saying that's their excuse for this, right? Like you just said, Phil came out instead of saying, hey, I want to, take my $40 million and I'm at the end of my career and I need to pay off some gambling debts from what we've been hearing. Is this good for the sport? Because people are using that as an excuse, but do you think, long-term, a couple years down the line, is this going to help grow the game?
It's a difficult question to answer because it depends on what you consider is good for the sport. If you consider like PGA Tour depth of talent and being able to watch, turn on the PGA Tour and watch all these top guys all playing against each other, it's not good for the sport. But if you think that the more guys that can make money in professional golf and the more people internationally that are just involved in golf is better for golf, then it probably is good. So it depends on how you look at it, because it's not good for the PGA Tour. It's not good for those of us that love watching the PGA Tour every single week. But it could end up long-term being good for golf internationally.
Okay. And I don't disagree. Do you think guys like Rory and Justin Thomas are eating their words right now after they came out and kind of roasted? And I'm mainly talking about Rory, who, by the way, is my second favorite golfer behind Phil. Do you think he's eating his words, after he kind of started the roasting of Phil when he was the only one who came out and said he was thinking about going? And now that all these other guys are going, is he like, shit, maybe I should have taken it easy on him or waited to see how this played out? Or do you think they're just going to double down and stick by it? And like guys like John Rahm who say, I don't do this for the money. even though that's absolute BS. They're definitely doing it for the money, at least in some capacity. Are these guys eating their words, or are they going to double down and be like, there's no chance I'm going?
I think they're going to double down. I think they're laughing at the PGA Tour coming down and dropping the hammer and banning these guys forever playing the PGA Tour again. I just think you have very opposing viewpoints, and someone like Rory is like, those are bad guys. You should not deal with those bad guys, and they're probably waiting. One thing that's important to note is hopefully these guys aren't selling their soul to the Saudis, and they have to do a bunch of media stuff and anything that the Saudis ask of them, they have to go do. Hopefully it's in their contracts that they're there to just play golf and they're not there to be slaves, because I think if that's what it ends up becoming, Rory and JT are going to be laughing at these guys for sure.
Right. And I wouldn't be shocked if they were, doing commercials or media stuff for them over there, because they're getting paid boatloads of money to go out there and play golf. Wouldn't be surprised if there's stuff we don't know that they're even doing over there that we might even never find out, or we might hear about on Twitter, but would not be shocked.
Yeah, it all depends on what's in the contract. That would be one thing that I'd make sure to read over my contract 10 times to make sure I'm not, I guess, selling my soul, or I guess there's a smaller way to put it, but you're basically selling your soul to the Saudis, which is not good people to sell your soul to.
Exactly. We're getting some questions in the chat here. My guy Ollie's asking, how long do you think the tour is going to last? They have infinity money, so my opinion is it'll last as long as they have big names like this, and they'll keep it running. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, it just depends. I think that's true. Obviously, it will definitely last. We'll give it minimum maybe 2 years. But if it continues to have people that watch it, I think they had 100,000 viewers today on YouTube, or that's kind of like the max.
That's where I'm watching it. Yep.
A typical PGA Tour event, my man Darren Rovell at the Action Network said gets about 300,000 plus, 350. But if it's still getting in that 100,000, 200,000 viewer range, and then obviously you have fans there. It sounds like it's sold out on Saturday. There's not a lot of fans there today. But if you continue to get fans and eyeballs on it, this thing can last a while for sure. And it's definitely going to shake up the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is going to have to change, especially the viewing experience. So it will be interesting. And maybe the PGA Tour ends up combining with LIV somewhere down the road if that ever happens. But
that would be
it will be interesting to see where we are with this whole situation in like 3 years.
Right. And people are comparing it. They're like, oh, it's like the XFL. Well, it's not like the XFL, because these guys are getting paid 10 times more than they're making on tour. I don't know if people understand this, or if this isn't like at the top of mind, but guys, on the PGA Tour, you're not guaranteed a single cent from playing in these tournaments. You are guaranteed zip. The PGA Tour has all the leverage. In their eyes, you're lucky to even be allowed to participate in their tournaments. That's how it's always been. They've been running the show. They have all the leverage. And that was the one comment that Phil made that I could kind of get behind, that I couldn't tell if it was actual BS or not. It definitely was a little BS, but I couldn't tell if it was full BS, where he's kind of right, where the PGA Tour does have all the leverage. It's the only sport where players aren't guaranteed any money who are on the tour. I don't know if you guys all know how golf works, but there's a purse. There's a purse, and everyone splits it. Who makes the cuts? The guy who finishes last gets the smallest. The guy who finishes first obviously gets the most. But on the LIV Tour, these guys are making salaries plus $25 million purses, which are 5 times as much as most of these golf tournaments. So this is not an XFL, NFL type situation. This is the LIV Tour, excuse my language, but trying to big dick the PGA Tour and say, hey, we're here to, pay our guys. We're taking care of them. And a lot of the players, at least saying out loud, they are acting like they care. So I want to make that perfectly clear. This is not an XFL minor league type thing. Like, they're getting big names and they're shelling out infinity money. I think this could go on as long as, they really want it to go on. It's almost like a standoff.
One of the big things that especially Phil Mickelson and Bryson are upset about is media rights. So they're independent contractors with the PGA Tour, which means that, well, I think most people, but a lot of us work as independent contractors these days. So I think we understand what that means. But they have their media rights. PGA Tour says that you can't use anything that happens on the PGA Tour and sell it. So obviously when it comes to NFTs, which is kind of where Phil and Bryson want to make some money because they want to create their own NFTs, the PGA Tour is like, we own that. And that's one thing that they're very upset about and why they're leaving to go to LIV.
Yeah, as well as the $40 million to $700 million that they offered Tiger, which is absolutely absurd. Also, Chase, you're a Notre Dame fan. I'm seeing the jersey in the back. Is that, are you like, do you have family who went there or something? Or are you just a fan? I'm also a Notre Dame fan, kind of in the closet. So
yeah, I think we talked about that maybe one of our first streams on Capwise. I remember you telling me that. But yeah, my grandfather went there, so I grew up a huge Notre Dame fan. In my room, it's still like that. It's all like, Notre Dame drapes and Notre Dame bed and all that stuff. I went to CU though. I'm a CU buff and I'm a diehard CU fan. So Notre Dame might come second. I still watch all the football games, but I'm not as much of a fan as I used to be. Ever since I went to Colorado.
For sure. How are the Buffs going to look this year in basketball? You guys got any new guys?
Oh boy. Well, at least it was a basketball question, not a football.
Well, I know not to ask about the football. Yeah.
Don't ask about the football team. Basketball, we'll see. Jabari Walker looks like he's going to the NBA. He announced that a couple of days ago, so that's obviously a huge loss.
That's
tough. The other ones were expected, but they brought in a recruiting class 2 years ago that was ranked in the top 10. And not a lot of them played last year. 3 of them were hurt out for the year. So they have a lot of young talent, and pretty much all their team was freshmen and sophomores last year. So I think they'll be solid. They added some like veteran guards, one from Yale and one from Princeton, which I think is interesting. They went after the Ivies in the transfer portal, but
trying to get the smart guys come over here and learn the system quick.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to have too much size is my worry, but they're going to have a lot of guards that can shoot and that can play.
Okay. Yeah, the whole transfer portal, NIL stuff has really turned college basketball and college sports literally into just pro sports. It's hysterical. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it or for it. I really don't know what to think about it yet. I kind of want to see how it plays out, but I mean, VT is seeing it too. We lost a couple guys, and I'm sure we'll get a couple guys. We already have. So it's definitely opened it up and made it more like a professional sports aspect. Excited to see what happens with your Buffs and with my Hokies. Hopefully they can run it back in the ACC, but I'd be very shocked.
Have you been talking college baseball on here? Your Hokies look pretty good, right? They're like third.
They do. So I love that you're bringing this up. They're 4th in the country. They won their regionals. Now they play Oklahoma. I think their first game is tomorrow, and I'm going to have to write up about it tonight coming out. About the 4 college baseball games. Yes, I have been watching college baseball. It's absolutely electric. If you guys haven't tuned into college baseball, number 1, it's all on ESPN or ESPN Plus, which is great. Number 2, these guys show some serious emotion, unlike what we see a lot in the MLB. The MLB, these guys seem to be emotionless a lot of the times, and you get a lot of guys who are quiet. But in college baseball, the pitcher strikes out the side. He's jumping around like a maniac, going nuts, jumping into the dugout, and these guys are pimping home runs, and it's absolutely electric. I'm a huge fan of college baseball. Way more runs, too. These guys are using metal bats. So I'm a huge fan. Virginia Tech is one of 2 schools that has never won a team national championship out of all the Power 5 schools. It's us and Kansas State. So I'm counting this one. If we can somehow pull it off, it's not going to be easy. I know there's some really good teams. Tennessee, people are saying, is one of the greatest college baseball teams of all time. So we'll see how it plays out. But the Hokies, man, they are legit. They are legit. We get to play Oklahoma this weekend instead of Florida, who was the ranked team. Oklahoma upset. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe we're getting a really hot team that's going to be tough to beat, or maybe we're blessed because we play, a worse team on paper. But super excited to see what happens this weekend.
I've had way more fun watching college baseball than any MLB game that I've watched all year long. And I know I don't bet too much MLB, which might be one big reason. But also these crowds, the regional and super regional crowds that we get, they're packed houses. All the fans are going nuts. Obviously, you have the students that are going crazy. And it's atmospheres that you obviously would never get in the MLB. And then you also have these huge comebacks. You can score so many runs in an inning, and you're never really out of the game, which I think is a ton of fun. So, yeah, if you haven't been watching college baseball, you should definitely get into it this weekend. 16 teams remaining. They're doing best of 3 series between 2 teams. So it should be a ton of fun this weekend. And I'm looking forward to even Omaha as well.
Yeah, and I see Lauren chatting about it in the chat there. Lauren, I'd be scared if I was you. You guys are playing ECU. Texas plays ECU, man.
I'm an East Carolina guy. So
okay, is that the team to root for?
Yeah, CU doesn't have a baseball team. My mom went to East Carolina, and so I've been watching them and followed them. And I love that team. I think they're a little underrated. And Greenville is going to be packed. Texas has to go there. They sold out this past weekend for their games as well. So I think Texas will be playing in a tough crowd. I think Lauren's in deep trouble.
They love their college baseball there. My, gosh, I guess it's kind of my uncle, not like my direct uncle, but like a family, like some sort of connection. I call him my uncle. He pitched back in the day for ECU, was a lefty. They've always had a great program. They take their baseball very seriously, just like Virginia Tech takes football very seriously because there's no NFL team around, right? ECU kind of the same. That's like their pride and joy is baseball. People are saying that this is the best team to never make it to Omaha. Talking about ECU, they've got a kid. His name is Zach Agnes, who's an MLB prospect, and they've got a couple more as well. So, Lauren, good luck. You're playing a very underrated ECU team who I think is probably going to take it from Texas, but we'll have to see. Very cool that you're rooting for ECU, though. I think they have a very, very good shot, Chase. We are going to shift here to MLB. But I wanted to ask real quick: is there any other things you want to talk about with golf going on, or the Live Tour, or anything you expect to see going forward? Any big names that people aren't talking about that you could see maybe going over there, or anyone you think is going to win this tournament or the next one's coming forward? I know there's probably 8 tournaments total, a couple in the U.S., which is cool, a couple over in Europe. Anything else you want to leave us with, going forward in the golf world?
No, we're just going to find out how this is all going to play out. And there's still a ton that we don't know, but it should be really interesting to find out. The only name that I can think of is Ricky Fowler. It sounds like he's bound to go. He hasn't yet announced. He might be waiting for some sponsors, exemptions or something on the PGA Tour because he's not even good enough to play in some of the events right now. So he's way he hasn't played good golf in like 3 years, but it does sound like he's going to go to Live, and they're going to have enough names there, I think, to make it interesting. And I think I'm going to be watching pretty much every week now.
They got enough big names for me to have it on the TV right now instead of MLB Network. So I think they're doing a good enough job. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know if I'm a supporter or not, but I'm sure as hell rooting for Phil Mickelson in every tournament he plays in, controversy or not. And I know you're rooting against him. So also, are you able to bet on these on like FanDuel and DraftKings? Is that an option?
Yeah, really good question. We should touch on that at the beginning. Yeah. They're trying to, so they have to get approval for all this, and I guess there was a governing body issue that they didn't have a governing body of these state regulators. They want to see these leagues have governing bodies, and they added one last week. So they're slowly rolling in, and it depends on what state you're in. But DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, they all posted odds. Just it depended on the state. Here in Colorado, we didn't have any of them, but MaximBet, I don't even know if you've heard of MaximBet.
I'm not.
But that was the only one that had odds here in Colorado. They should be on all your local and all your offshore bookies as well. Right. So we're going to have a lot. You'll be able to bet team and individual and all the matchups and all that stuff too.
I'm sure FanDuel will find a way to get those up and get some action going because we know they want all the action. And yes, Lauren VT might win the whole damn thing.
Of course you put that.
Let's go Hogs. Have to. Chase, it was a pleasure, my dude. We will have you on here again soon, hopefully to get a little update on Live, and maybe some college football talk, preseason, seeing what's going on, because I know you're a big college football guy as well. Always a pleasure, my man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Pleasure was all mine. I look to be on again here soon. Let's do it again.
100%. Well, I'm rooting for ECU. I think a lot of people are. They're definitely a fan favorite. Hopefully they can pull it out for you and your mama. And let's see what happens. College baseball is electric, guys. Like we said, tune in if you haven't checked it out. Chase, what's your Twitter so people can give you a follow?
At Chase Howell with a couple underscores. So just how it is there on the screen, and then just 2 underscores at the end.
And I tweeted it. His ad is in my tweet that I just posted, so you guys will be able to find him. Chase, a pleasure, my dude. We will be seeing. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome, Krabs. Good luck today. You're the man.
Appreciate it, my dude. All right. That was dope. Javon, I don't know if you caught any of that talk, but we did sneak a little college baseball in there too, which I know you're pretty invested in. Have you peeped the card for tomorrow yet?
Not yet. I haven't taken too much of a look at it, but I'll be doing that soon.
True. Your dog is barking around back there, having a good time. I think he's got some action on college baseball.
Yeah, he's excited. He's excited for it, so we'll be seeing.
We talked about the Rays, you and me, briefly, but curious to see your take on the Rays game today. I don't know if it started up yet, but it's definitely
Yeah, it's starting like right now. I don't know what to think of this game, to be honest with you. I think I'd go under, if anything. I think this is going to be a pitcher's duel. I would be all over the Rays with the Cards being a pretty, heavy public dog at this point. I'm just not willing to lay the minus like 170, 175 on our offense the day after scoring double-digit runs for the second time all year. So it's not a spot where I can back them. I don't want to back the run line either because the Rays are not great at covering that run line. I don't really know what to think of this game. The one silver lining I think if you have with the Rays is they hit a lot better against pitchers with very low whiff rates, which is what Miles Michaelis is. So that's why I would kind of lean them, especially with the line, but I'm not taking it. And I haven't, even though it started. But
yeah, I think it did just start. The total in that game is way too low for me to take -1.5, which is what I was eyeing originally. I think I'll sit this one out. Tampa's offenses look good the last 2 nights. I think you guys have been a little inconsistent this year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a low-scoring one today. Not that I don't think you guys will pull it out because, I'm a big Shane McClanahan guy. That dude's a dog.
Yeah.
Absolute dog.
I think I expected some people to be on the Cardinals today just because it's the Cardinals versus a lefty. But, Shane is
a lot of people.
Yeah, he's no ordinary lefty. I was surprised to see so many people on him. I think the Cardinals definitely do have a shot in this game, but people were really quick to fade who I think is the best pitcher in the AL. So I was really surprised.
Gosh, and speaking of best pitchers, maybe the best pitcher right now in the NL pitching a complete game last night. I guess it wasn't technically a complete game, but Sandy Alcantara. Shout out Trent, my man, if you're listening. Good bet yesterday, my dude. Gosh, that dude, it took him 9 innings to get 6 strikeouts. Good call, Trent. You won that battle, my man. That dude's a freak. Sandy Alcantara, he throws 98s. He doesn't really have that closing, punch out Strasburg, deadly curveball to put people away, I don't think. But the dude's got nasty stuff. He could throw 110, 120 pitches like he was saying the other day. This dude's going to be a great pitcher going forward. And like I keep saying, the Marlins rotation is young, very good, and going to be very good going forward. They scare me. I'm pissed that they're this good and young because we're going to have to be facing them for the next, 5-10 years.
Yeah, it's going to be really scary going forward, especially because, once they get their full arsenal of arms back, I think one of the issues we've seen, especially with Pablo Lopez, is the guys pitching on short rest almost every start. It's once they have their full arsenal of guys, their rotation is going to be really scary.
Jesus Luzardo, I don't know what his deal is right now. He's hurt. When he comes back, they're going to have Luzardo, Cabrera, Pablo, Sandy, and who's the lefty pitching today?
Trevor Rogers.
Trevor Rogers at the 5. Are you kidding me?
Which is ridiculous.
That lineup is
6-0 once he comes back from injury, hopefully.
Oh my gosh, Sixto Sanchez. What's good with him? Did he have TJ?
I'm not sure what's wrong with him. I don't know. Somebody can tell us in the chat. But, the fact that Trevor Rogers might be the one getting pushed out of that rotation, oh, my God. That's just not fair.
I'm not saying he's, the greatest pitcher of all time, but he'd be a 4 on every team, maybe even a 3 on some teams. I know he's kind of been struggling up and down this year, but we know it's in there. He had a great year last year.
Honestly, sure. He even with how good the Rays pitching staff is, he could be a 3 or 4 on ours.
Sixto Sanchez, his shoulder was hurt. He's throwing. He's getting back into action right now. He hasn't pitched in an MLB game since September, but he's getting close. He's starting to throw from 100+ feet. Goodness gracious, that rotation is young, throws hard, and they're going to be good going forward. If they can figure out some consistency at the plate, maybe get some guys who can hit some lefties, watch out for the Marlins. It really sucks that Derek Jeter traded away their entire team. But I guess they did get some of these prospects in return. So,
yeah,
there's a reason Derek Jeter was, I guess, not fired but left.
Well, did you see his explanation for it? It was really interesting. He was saying that he was trying to do it in different kind of phases from what I saw. So he was selling off all the guys, and then he was about to go in on, I believe, Castellanos this offseason, along with a couple other big bids on guys, and they wouldn't let him.
Wow.
That's one of the reasons why he kind of, quote unquote, left.
Right. I think, out of respect, you don't fire Derek Jeter, right? You mutually agree to part ways is what they say. But I think we all know what that means. I'm not going to slander Derek Jeter. He's actually one of the few New York Yankees that I like. And speaking of New York Yankees, how about them Twins? Nestor Cortez going down. What did it cost? Hitting a bet on Nestor Cortez? Well, terrible other MLB bets. But was it worth it? It might have honestly been, in my eyes, because I finally hit a bet against the New York Yankees and against Nestor Cortez, who everyone's acting like is literally the next Randy Johnson. He finally came back down to earth a little bit. They yanked him. He didn't even go 5 full innings. 4 runs, most runs he's given up all season. Coming back down to earth, I mean, I don't expect to see him, pitching like that every day, but definitely don't expect him to be pitching how he was earlier in the year every game as well. I think we should expect to see these Yankees arms who have been overperforming to be coming back down to earth, as we head towards the All-Star break. And I'm assuming you agree as well.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. Definitely.
And we do have a special guest watching the show today. My mom is watching. So chat, keep it PC today. Mama Krabs is in the house. Mom, how we doing? Thank you for watching. I will only send a couple bets today, and I will be responsible. Let's talk about some of these games, though. I want to talk about, obviously, the Nats. Steven Strasburg. Welcome back, legend. Talk about a guy who has some of the nastiest stuff. He doesn't anymore. He's old, right? He's past his prime. But talk about a guy who, if he stayed healthy his whole career, would probably be, one of the best pitchers of this generation, if not the best. The dude had the injury bug as bad as anyone. The dude literally was hurt half the season every single year besides his rookie year and the year where he won World Series MVP, which goes to show you when the dude's healthy, one of the best arms in baseball. Congrats, Strasburg, on coming back, my dude. My expectations are low for you. They're very, very low, and I don't think you're listening, but if you are, I'm talking to you right now, Strass. The expectations, very, very low. I know you're only throwing 92, 93, but I know that curveball and that changeup is going to be working today. You get a Marlins lineup who is nothing special. Go out there, pitch 4 or 5 innings, shove. I'm rooting for you. Strasburg, welcome back, my man. People were saying you might never pitch again. I was doubting it. He has a terrible nerve injury. These pitchers never come back well from it. I am super excited to see what the future holds for Steven Strasburg. People counted him out. They said it wouldn't be done. Welcome back. Am I betting on Steven Strasburg today? No chance. I do not recommend betting on the Nats today. They are plus 120. Do I think they could win? For sure. I think the line should be closer to, a coin flip, a pick 'em type game. But no chance I'm backing Steven Strasburg in his first start in a year. I think that's nonsense. I was seeing a lot of people tweeting that at me today saying Strasburg at plus money against Taylor Rogers. No, thank you. I'll sit this one out. I have enough emotionally invested in that one. I would never really back a guy, in his first start back in over a year. I don't think that's a very smart move.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of people about this Marlins offense have been talking a lot about how Jazz Chisholm's been slumping, and they don't realize that some of the guys behind him are mashing the ball. Like, yep. I am so mad that Garrett Cooper has not been up on Prize Picks because he hasn't been up for a reason. The guy has 2 hits in 7 of 8 games. Like, he's been absolutely ridiculous. Soler, who's usually a strikeout or home run guy, he's actually been hitting decently well for average for his standards. So I think the Marlins, they should have a decent outing today. I don't know the length on Strasburg. I'm sure nobody does at this point, but
we took our time with him. Like if we were like a ready to go team, like trying to make a playoff push this year, he could have pitched to start the year. Like we could have gotten him back and forced him back to come quick. But let's be honest, there's no rush with Strasburg coming back here. They took their time. So like the dude's ready to roll. He pitched 6 innings of no-hit ball or 5 innings of no-hit ball and 6 innings the other day, throwing damn near 100 pitches in the minors. I know it's the minors, so I'm not really taking, I'm not taking that into consideration too much with what to expect with him today. But the dude's, it's not like he's going to go out there and pitch 3 innings, 70 pitches today. He's not going to pitch 100, but I think 80 to 90 pitches we see today from Strass. I'm hoping that curveball's cooking and that circle change is moving because his off speed is nasty. I feel so bad for the guy. He's been so banged up. He got the bag, so I really shouldn't feel bad for him, but so much potential from my dude. I got his little bobblehead right here holding the World Series trophy, or I think the MVP trophy, actually, because he's an MVP winner in the World Series. But, yeah, the expectations are low. the Miami offense does have a bunch of randoms who have been performing pretty decent this year. So we'll have to see. I don't really think we hit lefties that well. I know Ali was telling us they're like the 9th best team against lefties, but I don't think Soto, Cruz, or Josh Bell has hit a home run off a lefty yet this year still, which is pretty concerning. So
It is.
I don't know what to expect in this game. I will be enjoying it, watching it. I have enough emotionally invested. I want to gas up Tony Gonsolin again because this dude still, to this day, start after start, goes out there and shoves. Is it safe to say that he's the best pitcher on this team right now? I think yes.
100%. I mean, I've been
100%.
saying this. I've been saying this as long as Kershaw is, down with an injury. He's by far and beyond the best pitcher on the staff right now. Guy's going out and dealing every time. Like we talked about yesterday, he's been undervalued just by, in public perception and by Vegas on the lines, which is still crazy to say because he's a Dodgers pitcher. But he's been undervalued for some time now, all year. So I think he's clearly been the best guy on the staff.
He doesn't even make $1 million, which it sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but the dude is making $720K this year. How is that even possible? I don't understand it. He got 4 years of arbitration. Is he really this young? How old is this dude? He is 28, so late bloomer. Went to St. Mary's College, drafted back in 2016. Definitely a late bloomer for sure. But crazy stat I saw on MLB Network today. I really wanted to share with you guys. Lowest ERAs through the first 11 starts of the season in Dodgers history. Here's some of these names. You ready? I'll go from best to worst. Don Sutton had like a 1 ERA. Give me a break. That was like 100 years ago. Don Drysdale, I don't even know who that is. Hyunjin Ryu when he had that crazy year back in 2019. Sandy Koufax, ever heard of that guy? Hall of Famer. Clayton Kershaw in 2016 had a 1.56 ERA through his first 11 starts of his season. And guess who's right there next? Tony Gonsolin this season with a 1.58 ERA through 11 games. It's time to start giving this guy some respect. Giving them respect. And I know as soon as I start betting on him, that's when the books are going to adjust and that's when he's going to lose. But the dude's an absolute dog. He's been balling all year. He needs more credit with the voice crack. He needs more credit. So give the man the damn credit and pay the guy. He's going to arbitration the next 4 years. Give this guy a deal. Give him a deal before he gets pissed off and leaves. I'm sure Scott Boras is calling him up saying, I'll be your agent. For sure.
100%.
For sure. Any other games coming up here that you wanted to talk about? I know that people probably want to talk about some of these day games. And I think there's another one or a couple, actually. The Dodgers, White Sox today. Dylan Cease at home at plus money. Do you think that's a trap? What are you thinking in this Dodgers White Sox game now that we were just talking about the Dodgers?
Man, I don't know. I'm honestly pretty split on this game. I think both of these guys come out there and deal. So I guess if I had any particular lean, I know I was texting you and Ollie about it, I think I would go with the under. It seems kind of square, I know, but I think both of these guys come out here and deal today, and it'll be pretty much a battle between the back end of those bullpens. That's how I kind of see it. I think with this kind of short line, that's what kind of tells me too that Cease is going to come out and not walk 6 or 7 guys like he did against the Rays. So that's kind of my thoughts. I don't have any too in-depth analysis. I think if I had to go with a side, I'd probably go the White Sox, but I don't want to fade Tyler Anderson either because that guy's been outperforming all year. So I'm not trying to catch him on some regression spot.
Yeah, he's 7-0 this year with a 2.5 ERA. So talk about another guy who needs a little bit more respect, which I'm not willing to give him yet because I don't think he's that good. But he's having a hell of a year. I'm shocked to see this total sitting at 8.5/9 with these two very good arms. And I put that in quotes because I think they're both kind of overperforming. I mean, Dylan Cease is actually probably going to be pretty good. He's just so freaking inconsistent. This line, the total, how high it's set, definitely scares me a little bit for sure. I think one of these two arms is about to get lit up today. I don't know who it is, but it definitely could be Cease with how inconsistent he's been. And like you said, coming off that start where he's walking a bunch of people. I don't know. Yeah. This is definitely a stay away game for me. That total is probably that high for a reason. I know you like the under because these are two pitchers who names aren't as big as people, are used to with the numbers next to them, with how good the numbers have been. But this is a sketchy total for me. I don't know why it's that high.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I get 100% what you're saying. I just don't trust either of these offenses right now.
Right.
Particularly the White Sox I know they've been probably a little better than the Dodgers in this series in terms of just exactly how they've gone about the games. I haven't seen much from the Dodgers at all as far as, hard hits and everything like that. But I think with the White Sox lineup, I kind of trust them to get shut down a little more. I know we have the platoon advantage kind of with most of the White Sox hitters, but I don't know. I'm definitely in a stay away spot. I might play the under, but I'm not 100% sold on it yet. What just happened, dude?
Wait, what happened?
What happened? Brujan.
What did he do?
Saw somebody say Brujan in the chat.
I'm seeing it.
Hoping he didn't mess up.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, we know the White Sox like hitting lefties. I know Tim Anderson's out, and he's like the main component of that. But I mean, they still got Jose Abreu and Luis Robert. I don't know. This is a stay away game for me. It's an AJ Pollock revenge game. Don't be surprised to see AJ Pollock do something. I actually think that dude's extremely underrated still. I don't understand how he doesn't get more attention. That dude can absolutely hit the baseball. He can absolutely hit the baseball. Phillies, Brewers. I don't know if you're on the same wavelength as me, but I think that Eflin and the Phillies sweep the Brewers today just based off of this line.
Yeah, and I know Gilberto actually just texted the same thing that I was going to talk about. Corbin Burns strikeouts is at 4.5. That's his line.
Whoa.
What sense does that make? I don't know what it is on Prize Picks, but on FanDuel, I'm looking at it, and it's 4.5.
Whoa. Somebody, if you have some time or have FanDuel or DraftKings up, see what Corbin Burns' strikeout prop is on a sports book, please. Very curious.
Sorry. All right, so I just see what Ollie said. Okay. Hits and runs, or total hits allowed, 4.5.
Not strikeouts?
Yeah, still.
He's not 7.5 on.
That is a little weird. Still.
You said his hits and runs is at 4.5?
Hits allowed, 4.5.
Okay. What's he usually at? That's not even like a category that I'm usually looking at on Prize Picks.
He's usually
that's high for him.
3.5, 4 flat.
Okay. So his strikeouts is at 7.5, but okay, his hits is at 4.5, and that's still kind of high for him. That's a guy who usually be probably 3.5. The over's juiced.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What are the odds?
Eflin is the reverse. His is high and juice is the under, which overall this just confuses me. I think my kind of strategy for these two middle games, I think one of the Phillies and Rockies wins. Possibly both, but I think one of them wins.
Gomber on the road pitches better than he does at home, correct?
I believe traditionally that's not the case. I believe traditionally he's better at home, but I mean this year he's been awful both places.
Okay.
You've got a 6 ERA both places, so I mean.
Okay, so he's just terrible everywhere. Okay.
He's just terrible in general, but usually he's better at home, which is really strange.
Okay, that is kind of weird in Colorado. Logan Webb, I'm pretty sure unless he lost his last start at home, Logan Webb has won 23 straight starts at home or some crazy stat like that. The dude does not lose at home, which is a trend that I'm always down to fade. But that guy is scary good pitching at home compared to the road where I am very okay with fading Logan Webb. But at home, maybe this is a spot to fade him finally because, that streak can't last forever. He's not going to not lose a game for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I know the guy's been fantastic at home. This just doesn't feel like a spot to me that he's worth minus 270.
Right.
Especially with how this offense has been playing, lately. I can't not take the Rockies at the value they're at. I know the Rockies are not the greatest on the road either, but yeah, it just feels like this is a definite value spot for me. I think one of these wins, and if you go 1-on-1, that's plenty of profit, especially if the one is the Rockies.
100%. I also wouldn't hate playing the plus 1.5 there with the total weirdly low at 8. Or I wouldn't say weirdly low.
I usually don't like to play the Rockies plus 1.5, but with the total that low, I don't hate it one bit.
Because the Rockies are usually either going to win by 4 or lose by 4, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're one of those teams, just like the Nationals too, usually.
Yeah, that's fair. The offense is either showing up or not, right? The pitcher's always going to stink. But the offense is either putting up 8 or they're putting up 1. That's pretty much how the Nats roll. That's pretty much how the Rockies roll. Very similar teams, except the Nats have a once-in-a-generational player. But very similar teams. The Rockies have Brendan Rodgers, though. He's really cool. He's really cool and good.
That guy's been balling over the last month or so.
CJ Crone is very good, especially at home. What about this Oakland game? Oakland-Cleveland.
So,
this is small. I'm pretty sure Oakland has lost a bazillion trillion games in a row, which is always a scary spot to fade a team like that because it's baseball, right? Even the worst teams win, 2, 3, sometimes 4 out of 10. Caprillion has been bad this year, but he is coming off of a good start. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure. I'm about to look up his stats right now. But this Pilkington guy is also pretty freaking good. A name that not a lot of people know. But he's been pitching very well this year. Another good young arm for the Guardians. So I don't really know what to make of this game. I guess I lean Oakland on the spread, but I don't really know.
Yeah, so we were talking about this one too. I think I lean towards the Oakland team total on this one, the over.
What's it at, 2.5 or 3.5?
It's at 3.5, which is strange because this is the third time in 3 weeks that it's been set at 3.5, and it's juiced to the under. But we were talking about this. I think so. The A's are top 10 in average OBP, ISO, BABIP, pretty much any hitting metric that you want to talk about against lefties on the road. I know they haven't been hitting well as of recently, but they're a different team on the road. I know Ollie's talked about that. A lot of guys have talked about that. And with Pilkington, he's looked good. Absolutely. He has really good swing and miss stuff, but he walks a lot of guys and he allows a lot of barrels, which are two categories that when the A's have decided to score runs, it's been against pitchers like that. So I don't feel comfortable backing him in the game because Caprilion's awful. So I definitely feel like the Guardians could go out there and put up 10, but I think the A's can put up 4, and this line makes me like it even more.
Completely agree. And Caprillion is not coming off of a good start. He's coming off of a 5 1/3, 5-hit, 4 earned run, 1 strikeout performance. The dude's had 1 good start pretty much all year. Actually, he had 3 pretty good starts earlier in the year against the Twins, Tigers, and the Twins, which, come on. But he's given up 5, 4, and 4 in his last 3 starts. Definitely nothing special with 6 strikeouts combined in those 3 games. So good luck, my man. But I'm with you. I don't hate that team total play at all. I don't hate it at all. What are the odds on that over? Do you have it pulled up or not?
I believe it was -120. I can pull that up real quick.
Okay.
But that was kind of what made me take a look at it. And then somebody else, I was kind of leaning it just because I saw the line, and then I believe somebody commented it under my Twitter, and I decided to look a little more into it. And I like it a lot. It's sitting, -120 for over 3.5.
Okay. Javon, I do not hate that play at all, my man. I don't hate that play at all. And I don't want to go through every single game because we're going to do that, on Trent Stream too. But, Chad, if you guys have any games or any questions to ask us for the next 20 minutes, let us know. But I do kind of want to shift over to a segment where we talk a little bit about, advice on betting strategy. I know you've really wanted to talk about this, and I'm really, really excited to hear what you have to say about kind of like your betting process, what you look at, especially on Prize Picks, because you've been absolutely slaughtering it. And then I'll give some tips and some advice on what I have, especially after a bad losing day yesterday. I definitely have some things to say, some things that I even learned yesterday, and I've been gambling for years. So, Javon, get us started. Any Prize Picks advice, or, if you want to go about your process, all ears.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I see most common as far as people trying to get into hitters props, because I guess that's where I spend a majority of my time, people don't necessarily want to do the work for it because it's a lot of work to look into so many different things. And you can't go into looking for, if you can't go in identifying a bet that you want to take and then looking for stuff to back it. So that's my thing. I have to go in and I have to look for matchups. I have to look for metrics. I'm not going in looking, say, hey, I like Ian Happ today, I'm going to go find numbers that support him against this pitcher or whatever.
Exactly. I can't go into Prize Picks and say, oh, I want to take Strasburg's strikeouts prop today. It's his first start in a year. That's a no-go. That's a no-go, bias or not.
I mean,
keep the board, view it unbiased, right?
Yeah. So I think that's probably one of the things I see. Another one of the things I see is people take individual pitcher or individual matchup metrics versus like a pitcher. They take them way too seriously and make them more important than they should be. So yes, you want to look at those matchups, but at the same time, like I use this example when we were talking about somebody, I believe Tommy Pham against Madison Bumgarner in his career. There's guys like that, and if there's a certain sample size of that, a large enough sample size, these are guys that have transformed their pitching arsenal 5 or 6 times throughout their career. So yes, those numbers matter, seeing a pitcher well, but you got to look a little deeper into it, and you got to realize it's not everything. You got to look at certain things. Like I'll say one of my biggest helps when I'm looking at hitter props, you have to dive into a guy's pitch arsenal, and you have to look at run values against certain pitches, especially for sinker slider guys, because that's a kind of a templated arsenal that's really important in the league. But looking at run values for that, Baseball Savant and Fangraphs are your friends. Those run values are really important, especially if you find certain outliers. I know, like if you have a run value of 10 against a certain pitch, that's ridiculous. So you go target that. That's like Judge against a fastball this year. He's up there. A couple other guys. So for hitting props, I think those are like kind of the key things. I think you can't go in, expecting something or wanting to see something, because you can find something for every single matchup to kind of substantiate whatever side you want to be on. But if you look at it from an unbiased standpoint, kind of put in a lot of the work to find where the matchups are, I think that's the most important thing. And I saw a lot of people asking, like, how do I look at run and RBI props? I do try to isolate that individual matchup from the hitter and the pitcher, as well as, a guy spotting the lineup. Guy spotting the lineup is actually really important, just because you want the right guys behind him or in front of him if you want the RBI chance. But primarily when I take those, I'm counting on the run. So I think that's the best way to look at it, instead of counting on other guys to be in position. But I try to kind of isolate it in the fact that it's not the same side. Like it doesn't have to be on the same side as my lean in the game. So I try to kind of keep that out of it. But you do kind of prefer high totals with, offenses that you think are in a pretty good spot, things like that. But just because you like the other side in the game doesn't mean you can't take a run or RBI on the opposite player and the opposite team,
Right.
Yeah, Trevor Story did not work out yesterday. We hate that. I hate the Red Sox offense.
That's okay. And I don't want to, Javon, I would never tell you anything. Like, I would never even give you any advice on Prize Picks or props, especially. But it does scare me, going back to the well over and over and over and over and over and over again. That kind of betting scares me a little bit, because Trevor Story was an absolute cash cow for the team for, a week, maybe even more, right? But just know that, and this is not directed at you, this is directed towards everyone in here, like eventually it's going to lose. So if you're backing a cash cow until it loses, which is a great strategy. That's not how I bet, but that's what a lot of people do, and that's smart. If it works, whatever you got to do to make money. Just the advice I'll give the people listening for that is don't increase the units. Don't keep doubling down on the same guy, because eventually, he's gonna come back down to earth and he's not gonna hit, right? But if you're gonna back it till it loses, by all means, that makes perfect sense. The dude was an absolute wagon for a week and a half. Totally get it, but just don't up the units every time, because eventually it's gonna lose, and then you're gonna lose everything you made over the past week and a half.
100%. And I think I tried to do that myself, because I rode Story a while back when he was hot a couple weeks ago, but I hadn't bet him since until yesterday, just because I thought the matchups weren't there. His spot in the lineup wasn't there, because he was hitting a little higher, I believe, when he was in that like really, really hot streak. So it did suck not having Devers in the lineup yesterday. I didn't know that until after I pitched it, but I was still cool with it, and it didn't pay off. But as far as like kind of going back to the well, I feel like there's certain guys you can do that with, and it has to like be somewhere where you can really substantiate kind of taking it, like I did with Brandon Drury. Double the units.
Trent is on his high horse right now. He deserves it, though. Good day yesterday. Good day yesterday.
Good for him. Good for him, man. But,
maybe an all-time day, honestly. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll gas him up on his show later. He'll be all happy, whatever. Keep talking about the important stuff.
Yeah. So I was just saying, as far as, going back to the well on, props or a couple of different things, I think there is a way to do it and a way not to do it. Because I think if the matchup is there, like I used Brandon Drury for an example, I took him 2 days in a row. That's because Bumgarner and Tyler Gilbert matched all the metrics of Madison Bumgarner. He was just kind of an amplified, worse version of him. It's like things like that where you can just actually analyze it instead of just saying, hey, this guy's hot, or, he's hitting the ball well, seeing the ball well. I think that's a spot where you really, really can feel comfortable in, taking a guy again. Same with Christopher Morel, even though he didn't play yesterday, but I'd do it again. He's in a really good spot in that offense, kind of the same type of thing with the matchup. I saw that there too. So in those situations, I feel really good about backing a guy back-to-back games or even, a couple times in a week. But if you're just taking a guy because he's hot, I think there's only a handful of guys that you can do that with. That's like a Mookie Betts, Rafi Devers, total basis situation. But don't get stuck in kind of the cycle of saying, hey, this guy's hitting the ball well. He's a big name. I'm going to take him just because, it makes me feel more comfortable that I have a big name player in my end or something like that.
Yes. And I know, you guys are tired of me preaching about betting contrarian and betting on shit that doesn't make sense. But if you guys don't think the sports books know when the best players in baseball are hot and know what people bet on, nobody wants to bet on Morel, right? And that's why you found value in it. And that's why that shit was hitting. People want to bet on Rafael Devers every day because he's Rafael Devers and he's a stud, right? So I'm not saying you can't bet on Rafael Devers. Guys, like I say this all the time. The right button's there. All you got to do is click it. There's a right button and there's a wrong button. You just got to click the right one. As long as you click the right button at the end of the day, that's all that fucking matters. But just know that you can't just ride the best, hottest hitter because he's the best, hottest hitter, like you just said. And Javon, I think if we could combine our brains, we'd be the best gambler of all time because I know you don't just look at like data and numbers and stuff like that, but I'm a lines guy. I'm betting lines, not teams, not people. And will I look at some data? Will I pull up Baseball Savant and see, people's history or look at, people hard hit rate and stuff like that, or look at Fangraphs and see, history against the pitcher? For sure. I do look at that. And that stuff's a bonus for me. But to be honest with you, I'm betting lines, not teams. That's a strategy that I've always used. That's a strategy that I'm always going to use because that's my betting strategy. And there's 100 ways to skin a cat. There's a bazillion ways to bet. You just got to find what works for you. Keep the units down, right? Don't increase your units. Don't do what I did yesterday and ask to, Prize Picks to increase my unit because I had this play that I absolutely loved. Well, guess what happened on that Prize Picks yesterday, guys? It reverse swept. Okay, that's what happens when you do shit like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stick to your units. Do as I say, not as I do. I think I say the right stuff a lot, but I do stupid shit. Like last night betting on the Angels. I did it again. Do what I say, not as I do. Yeah. Stick to one units. We don't unit shame. If you're betting $5, $10 on games, that's great. Who cares? Who cares? Just have fun doing it. We don't give a shit how much money you have on a bet. Stick to your units. Keep it low. Have fun. You don't have to bet every single game. That's something that I really have been struggling with recently because I'm analyzing every single game. And I feel like I have an edge in every single game because I do my write-ups, I get my lean out, and I'm like, shit, I guess I'll bet on this. That's dumb. Yeah. Be 10 out of 10 confident. Be 10 out of 10 confident before you send a bet. Quality 100%. Over quantity. Quality over 100%. Quantity.
100%. And I think kind of the way that I approach Prize Picks on a day-to-day basis, I go in because I make a lot of entries, but I try to keep it to a lot of kind of 2 picks. I don't want to bet the Angels today. I really don't.
We got to talk about this game now. Fruity, man.
Oh my God.
Number one, before I say anything, I'm not sure if I'm not betting on them yet. Let me get one thing straight. I haven't fully committed to betting or not betting on them yet. I still might, but I'll tell you right now, this is the game that the public hops back on the Angels because they see Shohei on the mound and they see Nick Pivetta as his opponent. And nobody knows who Nick Pivetta is. His numbers on the surface level are terrible because of how bad he started the year. but Nick Pavetta's been actually pitching very good recently. He's been pitching way better. And Shohei, I never want to bet on Shohei because he's so overvalued. The lines are just absurd. The fact that they're favored today, like what? They've lost 13 games in a row. I don't know if I'm betting on them yet or not. I probably shouldn't. I don't think any of us should be betting on the Angels until they figure something out.
Yeah.
But this one scares me. This is the game that I see the public all hopping back on the Angels saying they got to cut the streak. Shohei's on the mound. If anyone can do it, it's him, which is not incorrect. Shohei could go out there and absolutely shove. He's pitching at home. He pitches way better at home. At least he's not on the road. But this one scares me a little bit, only because of the big name Shohei and that Nick Pivetta is actually better than his stats and his name. He's been pitching way better recently.
Yes, yeah. It is just a game that scares me. I feel like I always have like a decent read on the Red Sox offense, and then they come out like yesterday and drop one run, and then they do the opposite when I think they're going to come out a little flat. So, yeah, I'm probably not touching the side of that game. We're in the same boat.
Like look at Nick Pavetta's stats last game: 7 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, no earned runs. The game before, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. The game before, 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. The 3 games before, he gave up one run, and 0 runs. Like the dude's actually been dealing. He started out so bad, and that's why his stats are not, as good. Although he's back down to a 3.5 ERA now, which is more than respectable. Yeah. Watch out for this game today. I'm scared. I honestly might bet on the Red Sox, which would be wild. I don't know. I can't get a grip on this one. It's on MLB Network. Of course it is. Of course it's on MLB Network. Of course it's the take me home piece. Of course it's the late night game. Of course Shohei's pitching against a no-name guy who's actually pitching well. This has a recipe for a disaster written all over it, in my opinion. Am I going to still bet on the Angels? I might. I don't know. Am I going to fade the Angels today? I might. I need to dig into this one a little bit more.
Being that Fruity just said he's betting on the Angels and Trent said he's betting on the Red Sox, it might be the Angels' day.
I mean, it's a system play for me. This is a system play for me. Take the players aside. I was literally just saying how I don't bet teams. I bet numbers. The fact that the Angels are favored today against the Red Sox, who've won 7 games in a row, and the Angels have lost 13 games in a row, and they're 27-31 playing a 30-27 team, and the Angels are favored, and they're getting less of the money. It's a system play, throwing out all the teams and players, which is how I'm supposed to bet. That's how my strategy works. So maybe I should just blindly bet the Angels and Trent's on the Red Sox.
I don't know though. I feel like as far as the Krabs system goes, I feel like there's two players that fit into there, and it's Nestor Cortez and Shohei. So I feel like the system may cancel out a bit. I don't know.
I know. This is one of those games where it might cancel. Fuck. Fruity, text me about this game, dude. I need to know how much you got on this game. Gosh, man. Why are they favored? I will say the Red Sox were getting hammered last night. Not the players. The line was getting hammered. Although they might have been getting hammered. I don't really know. The Red Sox line got hammered last night and moved from plus 125 now down to like plus 100 on some books. And now some late money is starting to come back on the Angels. Now it's about a 60-40 split on the bets and money percent, 60% on the Red Sox. It's coming back down, but that line moved a ton. I'm assuming a lot of sharp bettors were on the Sox last night, hence why the line moved 30 points or 30 cents, as the Gabagool would say. This game sketches me out so much. So much. Whew. Shohei, man. If Shohei wasn't on the bump, like I honestly wish a worse pitcher was pitching today. As ridiculous as that sounds. Like, is there any other human being on earth who would ever say that? I wish a worse pitcher was pitching today for the Angels so I could bet on them. I legitimately mean that. It's so absurd.
Comment.
It's an absolute sick comment. It's disgusting. But that's legitimate. That's legitimate. Gosh, how about the Orioles game today? We got Jordan Lyles versus Bubik. How about them apples? That's a gross game. We should take the under.
Yeah, I don't have the balls to take that one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh man, do you have any other like actual meaningful comments or advice before I start bullshit about these games? What else you got?
Well, no, I think I was just saying as far as
You
like
gave some very good advice. All right.
yeah, I think as far as managing prize picks on a day-to-day basis, the way that I go about it, I love 2 picks. I love power plays, the 2-team power plays.
2-teamer dreamers. 2-teamer
And I
dreamers.
go in, like I don't have a set number every day, but I try to keep myself to the same amount of money that I put out every day. And then I do the amount, whatever amount of combinations I feel comfortable with on the board to get to that number or stay under that number. That's kind of the strategy that I go. I, leave room for, the spaces play. Oh my God, Kurt Suzuki's playing.
Hey, we do not slander Kurt Suzuki in this chat. This is a Kurt Suzuki stan stream. We do not hate on Kurt Suzuki. He's a great person and a great baseball player. The dude can actually still hit. Like, I'm not even kidding. The dude can still hit.
Yeah,
he can't catch a throw. He's got a noodle. He's got a noodle for an arm. If anyone gets on base with speed, they're stealing. He had a noodle on the Nats in 2019, 2018, 2017. An absolute noodle. It's been 5 years. But the dude actually hits over 300 as a pinch hitter, which is kind of cool. So they've been using him a lot as a pinch hitter, which I think is smart. I'm a huge Kurt Suzuki fan, to be completely honest with you. Obviously biased. Give me a break. But him and Howie Kendrick have a special place in my heart. Just 2 veterans who led the team, kept their heads down, never talk shit. Just leaders, good dudes. I'm still pissed we didn't hire Howie Kendrick as like a player, like half player, half coach type. He's working for somebody though in the MLB. I forget who it is. I think it's the Phillies. But Howie Kendrick, I miss that guy. I should have made him my name today. What do you expect from Strasburg today? I want to know non-Nats fans' opinion on Strasburg.
I'm not 100% on what I expect from him today. I mean, I think this game goes over most likely, so I don't think he's going to be sharp, but I do want to hear what you have to say, partially because printer is coming up.
The what's coming up?
Oh, never mind. We're good. But okay. I don't know what to expect from him today. I think the key to him is how sharp that off speed is going to be. Obviously, he's been pitching in the minors, so it's not like he's going to be doing it for the first time, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the curveball looks good, at least from the film I've seen. I've seen like all his strikeouts. I've seen his highlights from his last couple starts. The off speed's there. It's the fastball that's sitting at 91, 92 that scares me. We'll see. It's hard to pitch successfully throwing 92 miles an hour in the MLB in 2022. That's just a simple fact. I mean, I don't care how good your changeup or curveball is.
Especially for a guy, his whole career is not used to having to command his fastball at the same level because he can just blow by guys. So that's big.
He's deceptively wild with his fastball. He always has been his whole career. I swear to God, the dude literally just aims down the middle, and wherever it goes, but it's never right down the middle. But his off speed is so nasty. Oh my gosh, so nasty. Cam said I spent $1,400 at a Dodgers game for Howie Kendrick to send us home. I have a funny ass story about that game, Cam. I was a junior in college, I think. What was this? 2019, junior in college at VT. We were chilling at the crib, drinking a couple beers, weren't out or anything because it was a weeknight. I think the game was like a Wednesday or maybe even a Tuesday. And the Nats were losing, right? The game was in LA. And me and my buddies, me and my roommates were saying, all right, if Howie Kendrick gets a hit here and ties this game up, we're sprinting, not walking, not going. We're sprinting to our local watering hole down the street, Sharky's. Shout out Sharky's Pub in Blacksburg. If anyone knows, we're sprinting there and we're getting drunk to celebrate. Howie Kendrick then proceeds the next pitch to hit a grand slam to take the lead. And we literally all just look at each other and sprint downtown. Absolutely electric night, maybe the most fun Tuesday or Wednesday I've ever had. Howie Kendrick, what a guy. I got pretty banged up that night because of him. But shout out Howie. That dude could absolutely hit baseballs. He was a fossil on the Nats in 2019. The dude could barely run. It's like watching Albert Pujols right now, right? Like you see Albert Pujols try to stretch a single to a double, or just try to get to second base, not even stretch. Like watching that dude run like hurts my eyes. It was like that where Howie Kendrick had no business like running at all. He would have been a guy who would have been so beneficial of the universal DH. Oh my goodness. Because I swear to God, that dude could go out there right now and still hit 270. I swear to God, the dude is just a professional hitter. I miss that guy. Absolutely miss that guy. Seriously though, Lyles and Bubik. I like the under in that game because it makes no sense. What are you thinking about that game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the stomach to take the under personally. I can't do it. I just like the matchup against Bubik, especially for Kendrick, Albert, and Kirk. Anywhere with or Alejandro Kirk is not number one.
I would take Kirk as just running standpoint. Kirk is actually the fastest. Kirk's got fresh legs. He's 23. He might be the chunkiest of the bunch, but I'd probably take him first. I mean, Albert Pujols can actually barely sprint. Like, I'd probably still take Howie at the 2-hole. You'd probably get some value there, and then Albert at the 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But as far as, back to this game,
yep,
I can't do it with Bubik again. Like, he already had his one great start. Like, if you look on his Savant page, on like the 14 pitch metrics that are on like his dashboard, 6 of the 14 are in first percentile. Damn near half. So the guy's not good. I think he's facing an Orioles lineup that's heating up a little bit.
Underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mullins is probably going to cash his prop in the first inning, if I'm being honest with you, which is why I took it. I just trust the guys in that lineup behind him. Mancini has been on an absolute tear recently. There's a bunch of guys.
Bro, talk about a story. Trey Mancini. Give me a break. Beat stage 4 colon cancer. Unbelievable. Trent, dude, I don't fade your plays just because you're on it. I didn't even know you were on Sandy yesterday until someone told me in a Spaces after I already talked about it on my show. It just so happens that you're always on the Squares play and I'm always on the other side. That's just how it goes. But hey, worked out yesterday. Squares got to eat. Trent. You guys ate good last night, bro. The Squares had a 4-course meal buffet last night. Absolute buffet.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trent, I don't just look at your card and fade you. I probably should do that. I probably should, honestly. It'd save me some time. But no, dude. Like, I was genuinely, like, shocked and kind of upset when you had Sandy yesterday because I was like, fuck, now I got to go on a show and talk about how this is my favorite prop of the day. And it took him a full, complete game to hit it. So, hats off. Hats off to Sandy Alcantara. I'm not fading that dude ever again. Holy smokes. Incredible. Bubik, by the way, he's coming off of 2 good starts, which even scares me more.
Yeah.
He's only given up 1 run. He only pitched for 1 inning against the Rangers. Never mind. That was actually a bad start. He gave up 1 run in 1 inning. Never mind.
Well,
he's had 1 good start this year.
Yeah, I mean, he faced the Astros in that last start, which I know a bunch of guys have been getting us on this trend. The Astros just can't hit any lefty, regardless if it's me or you out there. Like, so I don't really trust them that much to continue doing that.
That's facts. You want to let the people know any prize pick squares you really like today?
I mean, most people have seen the thick of it. I think my favorite one that I have remaining is that Cedric Mullins running RBI, just because of everything I said. He's got a great spot at the top of the lineup. The guys behind him are hitting really well. Mancini, Hayes, even Mountcastle. I think he's back, right? He can start to get it going a little bit. So I like the spot in the lineup a little bit. I like the Royals offense to get going against Bubik. I think the wind's blowing out too, which is not a huge deal for most games, but I think with that extended create a stadium wall in left field, it definitely helps everybody get it out. And then for Mancini and Hayes to help them get them out with Mullins on base. So they
are playing in Kansas City today, so they're not playing in Maker Park, but
that
doesn't
is true.
matter.
That's true. Look at a little G-Man Choi bang too.
Yeah, what's the score of that game?
2-0 now.
God damn it. Austin Hayes, very underrated. He hits in the 3-hole now for the Orioles. This dude's hitting damn near 300 right now. So props to him. Had to give him a shout out real quick. And shout out the Rays. Good shit, Javon. The Rays are starting to get going. Maybe they continue this and their offense starts playing like they're supposed to. we knew they were going to come around at some point. I'm not trying to jinx them, knock on wood, but we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. Perfect timing. When Wander comes back in a week or so, hopefully they put him right back in there and smooth sailing. You guys start scoring a couple runs a game.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to really figure out the lineups and everything. Like, I love Margot towards the top of the lineup. I think, Randy towards the middle of the lineup starting to get going too. I mean, we're just really starting to figure out. I like it.
For sure. All right, we'll pass it off to Trent. Guys, if you're looking for any promos, go check out thegameday.com. Follow them on social media at thegameday. I'm sure Trent will do his little pitch too. Great site. You can get some good promos going for what state you're in based on what sports books you guys have. They'll give you some free money to play with. So at The Game Day on social media and thegameday.com. Javon, been a pleasure, my man. We will do a Spaces this afternoon if you're available. If not, no big deal. But I need a rebound from my Prize Picks disaster yesterday. I'm going back to listening to you guys and letting the pros do the work. I might have a play, but I'm not doing my own Prize Picks ever again. Teamwork, right? Communication is key. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, it does.
All right, Javon. We'll be seeing. Guys, thanks for coming. Go hop in Trent's stream. Good luck today, everybody. Big day today. Shout out Latte. The Latte Giants, KBO, 2-0 on KBO plays. Let's get it.